The broadcast that predicted a death. Late-night radio has always been a magnet for the lonely, the restless, and the curious. It's a world where strange voices drift across empty highways, where static crackles like distant whispers, and where the boundary between the real and the unreal feels thinner than during daylight hours. But in 1999, a small-town radio station in Oregon aired a broadcast so disturbing and so impossible that the incident remains one of the most baffling unsolved cases in broadcast history. KTRW was a dying AM station, staffed by 2 exhausted night shift employees, a DJ named Marie Collins and an engineer named Paul Shepard. Their job was simple: keep the station alive until sunrise, play requested songs, and occasionally read local announcements. Nothing remarkable until one night in October. Around 2:12 a.m. the station received a call on the request line. Marie answered, expecting the usual half-asleep trucker asking for classic rock. Instead, what she heard was a voice unlike anything she'd encountered in her career. It was deep, flat, emotionless, like someone trying to imitate human speech without understanding how emotion works. The caller didn't request a song. Instead, he said, "At 4:25 a.m. the man in the red house will die." Marie froze. It sounded like a threat. Paul signaled her to keep the caller talking. She asked him to explain what he meant. The voice repeated the same sentence verbatim, no inflection, no deviation. Then the line went dead. Paul traced the call. The signal was impossible. It didn't originate from a phone number. It came through the station's internal broadcast lines, something that shouldn't even be accessible externally. They reported it to their station manager, who logged it as a likely prank. But Marie couldn't shake the feeling that the voice wasn't right. Not synthesized, not human, something else. At 4:25 a.m., Marie and Paul were still at the station, half joking that they should watch a random red house somewhere in town. They laughed. But at exactly 4:25, the station lights flickered. A deep static buzzing flooded the speakers. The radio transmitter briefly died. When it came back on, the emergency tone system activated, something that only triggers for extreme emergencies like chemical spills or natural disasters. Then, the phone rang again. Marie answered. The same voice said, "It is done." The line cut out. Minutes later, police sirens echoed across the town. A local man named Jonathan Pierce, who lived in a red-painted home near the edge of town, was found dead on his front porch. Massive heart failure. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. The coroner listed the time of death as approximately 4:25 a.m. Marie and Paul told investigators everything. Police traced the radio station's call logs. No record of the calls existed. Technicians examined the equipment. No known vulnerability could allow an external caller to access the internal broadcast line. The emergency alert trigger was also unexplained. It hadn't been activated by anyone at the station, and the timing was impossible to ignore. Marie insisted the voice didn't sound human. Paul backed her up. He described it as a voice reading a sentence it didn't understand. The FCC became involved. Then the FBI. They examined tapes, logs, transmissions, everything. For a while, it looked like the investigation would go somewhere. And then suddenly, nothing. The official conclusion, released months later, called the incident a coincidental convergence of unrelated events. No answers, no explanation, no further investigation. The station manager told Marie and Paul never to speak about the event publicly again. But years later, an anonymous technician from the station broke silence. He claimed that during the equipment inspection, engineers found something unsettling. The audio waveform from the mysterious call didn't match human speech patterns. Human voices have natural fluctuations, breathing, irregular vibrations, organic inconsistencies. This voice was too perfect, too precise, like a mathematically generated tone that only approximated language. Even stranger, a spectral analysis revealed a faint background hum underneath a voice, an oscillation pattern used in old Cold War military transmissions. Signals meant for long-distance encrypted communication. The frequency the call used wasn't a civilian one. Still today, no one knows who or what made the calls, how they hijacked a radio station's internal line, why they predicted a stranger's death, or how they knew the exact time. Some believe it was a government experiment gone wrong. Some think it was an intelligence warning meant for the wrong station. Others say the voice wasn't human at all, that it was something using the only communication method it could access. But one detail remains the most chilling. 2 weeks after the station incident, a second red house in a neighboring town burned down at exactly 4:25 a.m. The fire marshal ruled it accidental, but the surviving family reported that the night before the fire, their radio had turned on by itself, and from the speakers came a single voice: "He will die."